Talk to me in the shadow, on the street lights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat, don't ignore me.
What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Talk to Me, Michelle. Yes, I am back here chilling. It is hot as I don't know what here in the Texas state. I hope everybody is doing well. And I do have to make an apology and send out. I had to re-edit an interview that I recently had with a guest. There was a situation, so I wanted to make sure that there was no additional issues. So I made sure that we have a new interview with the Rob Report. You guys can check it out. It is available now, along with the latest episode of my audio podcast. And we are talking with Avery Washington. You guys know I love Avery. And we're talking about the restoration of women. Where's our womanhood going? It's a real good conversation. You guys have got to tune in. If you're in the building and you ain't subscribed yet, please hit that subscription button. Make sure you like and share. And please comment. I like to get y'all feedback. Even if I don't like the feedback, at least there's some comments going on. So now, without further ado, I have known this woman basically when the pandemic started. I met her on a platform, and she has been not only a good friend to me, but she has also been such a resource because she does deal with anger issues, and I know a lot of us got them. I'm not going to exclude myself. I got issues. We all do. So, no further ado, let me bring in my guest and my friend, Dr. Tyra Gardner. What's going on,
Hey,
Tyra?
what's up? What's
Yee!
up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Girl, it's good to see you. I'm so glad you was able to make it tonight.
Girl, it's good to see you too. I'm so happy that you had me on. I love your new platform.
Thank
Love the
you.
layout. Girl, I was sitting here dancing to your theme music.
Girl, I promise you, I had to stop myself sometimes. I mean, so my toes start tapping. I'm like, wait a minute now, you done heard this 1,000 times, so let's get on with it. But I will say that, Rodney Barnes was a fan of it, so I'm going to have to make sure I do a longer intro version for him.
All right now, all right now. I was sitting there, I was like, all right now, that's what I'm talking
But how are
about.
you doing, girl? It's been a minute since we've been on the screen.
I know. I've been doing good. I've been doing good, girl. I've been hanging in there, adjusting to my new normal and just finding some stuff, trying to find things to fill that time.
Girl, speaking of which, because, we've been going through some testing times, and this particular
Yes.
time of year I hate because it's election year,
Yes.
and that works my nerve automatically. But
Hmm.
beside the advertisements, we have people that like to go out of their way to disrupt your peace.
Girl.
I promise you. Now, you and I both are definitely big believers in protecting our peace, setting our
Hmm.
boundaries. And
Yes.
some people feel, oh, well, if you saying I can't do this around you, they feel like you being disrespectful when all you're doing is expressing your boundaries.
Right. And it's sad because a lot of people, they think they right. That's number one. And they will do what they can to try to get their way. And even if it sounds like foolish, and you just be sitting up there like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Just doing the most.
Hmm.
But I know
Yeah.
you're the perfect person to talk to because you and I talk behind the scenes, and I
Hmm.
want you to share a story with us that was shared with me.
Yes. So what Michelle was talking about was, let me tell y'all, I went on a vacation and it was just like I was chilling. Everything was fine. And it was just like, and then all of a sudden, one of the people that was with me was having, got sick. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. But it wasn't just the idea of becoming sick, right? Because at this point, it was like other things, going through my mind. Because I'm like, number one, we wasn't here long enough for this. Number two, what is really going on? And I still dissect it over and over and over again in my head, like what the hell was really going on? Which I think I navigated through exactly what it was, right?
Right.
But it was like during that time, I was sitting there and I'm just like, okay, I can't have people sick with me out the country. I need
Yeah.
to. We gotta do what we gotta do. So when I, planned to go away, because it was a large. it was like 22 of us on this vacation.
Oh, shit,
And
that's a
and it
big
was just
group.
like, yeah, it was a large group. And it was just like, and at this moment I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I came here to sit down and just have a moment with Tyra, figure out her new moves, figure out what she gonna do next, because for those that don't know, I completed my dissertation officially, and I have my doctoral degree officially, and
Congrats.
so, which that's a whole nother podcast story that we could have, but I gotta find a way to tell that story, right? Look, it's really official now, Michelle.
I
Here,
see.
girl, I'm published, child. I'm published. So look, I'm earned dissertation, not honorary. So my shit is real. So with that
It's not an
being said,
online degree.
I'm not honorary, baby. I'm real. Look, I'm real, and it says it right here.
So you got to clarify for the people.
Yeah, girl, gotta clarify it, right? Because believe it or not, that's a part of my piece as well.
Mm,
All that played a part of my piece. And so going back to, to my vacation, I'm sitting up there and I'm like sitting there and I'm watching this, and the person is like dry heave and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, okay, I can't do this. I have to figure this out. So I said, okay. So I grabbed my phone and I started researching, airline tickets. Because I'm just like, no, I'm not doing this. For those that don't know, I'm a travel agent also, in addition to
yeah.
all my other plethora of things that I do. And so I'm sitting there, and at the same time, all this is going on. Who do you think is texting me at the same time? Dr. Holly. So, so I'm sitting there texting back and forth with her. Dr. Holly is hollering, okay? She's cracking up. So she's just like, and I said, Holly, at this point, I said, the question that's going through my mind is, what does peace cost?
Woo.
We could put a monetary value on peace, or we could just we could just keep it at a whole mental value of peace, because peace come in so many areas, right? And it was like at the point I started feeling like, okay, here we go with the attention seeking behaviors. Here we go with, and it's just like I said, well, maybe if I wasn't a therapist, none of this would bother me. But at this point, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's still going to bother me, you know? And so, and at that point, that's when I was just like, no, I said, I can't do this. So I'm just like, okay, well, I can get you folks out of here at this time. And I'm giving information. And folks is like, no, I'm not going home. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And I'm like, really? I'm like,
Yeah, you
okay.
sure?
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, are you sure? And I said, okay, And so at that point, so I talked to my mom about it. I said to my mom, I said, Mom, how much does peace of mind cost? And she said, girl, get out of here. She said, I'm not doing this with you.
'Cause your mama
And
already knew the answer.
so, and so, and so when I'm saying this to people, and I'm asking people, because at this point I go around, I'm asking folks, so what does peace of mind cost you? And they like, you just walk away and you ignore. But no, your peace can still be disturbed, and it's just being able to understand that.
Yeah.
And that's when I had came to the realization. It was like I heard a therapist and I heard a couple of celebrities talk about this one time. This is some
Mhm.
years ago. I'm talking about, we going back to Tom Joyner days. And I
Way back.
remember listening to his show one day, and he said sometimes peace of mind will cost you a dollar amount just so you can just be okay.
Yeah.
And it's just like, child, let me tell you, thanks to Klarna, Sezzle, all up, look, Afterpay, look, you can have peace of mind. You can have all the peace of mind you damn want. At that point, when you broke, oh, you find a way for peace of mind.
I'm a
Just to
fine.
right, just to be fine.
Yeah.
And that's when I was just like, oh my goodness, like I just gave the Cliff Notes version to the story. Michelle got the full verse, so she know where I was at
Ooh.
when it comes to this. But it was just like, but when you think about peace of mind, how important is it to protect your peace?
It is. And you get in certain life situations, you're like, I would rather just be chilling by myself than dealing with this energy I'm surrounded by. And
Mhm.
I right now, what do I have to pay to get that peace of mind? Why am I so looking forward to going home to Netflix and chill instead of being out with all this chaos?
But you know what? You're gonna laugh when I tell you this, right? I wasn't one that really paid attention. Like, you know how people be like, oh, the energy, to this, to that, to this, to that. Before the pandemic, I gave a rat's ass about it. Right. I'm just keeping it real 100.
Keyword
And
before.
right, before COVID, I can care less about it. I knew people was off and I knew situations, but I was just like, I never focused on things like energy and aura. Like I knew
Yeah,
about aura and I knew sometimes you could walk in the room and feel things don't feel right. But I
exactly.
didn't, but I'm gonna say this, I didn't research it, right? I
Mm,
didn't do any research on it. I didn't pay any attention. It was, I'm gonna say, you and spiritual essentials, you and Lavinda, and
Lavinda.
conversations with Lavinda, started changing my mindset and started, having me really think about things that was really important, like that, and then having conversations with Dr. Candace and Dr. Holly, you know, about the importance of paying attention of your surroundings. And and Dr. Candace go hard on the gut health and
Yes, she
paying
does.
attention about what you put in your system and all of that, right?
Mhm.
Plug, she having a course next week on the 27th, just doing a little plug for my sis.
Oh,
But
oh,
with that
hell yeah.
being said, but it was just like with all these people coming in and and it's just like the conversations that I had with all of you, that's what made me start paying attention to it. Again, energy is a part of peace. My last job that I had, one of this girl, there was this woman we worked with. She was a whole mess, right? And I just never forget. I laughed my behind off. She was in a meeting, and the woman said, and the boss, our supervisor, said to this woman, she walked into the meeting. The one woman walked into the meeting. I'm gonna say Jane walked into the meeting. Laura was already in the meeting.
Mm.
Laura was like, now Laura was sage. She was doing all kinds of stuff, burning incense, burning candles, doing everything right because she was big on studying energy.
Yeah.
She was big on energy psychology and big on all of that, and spiritual and all of that. So she said, so they was in this meeting and she was just like, Laura went, when the meeting was over, she pulled Jane aside and she says to Jane, she says, I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. Everything was fine until you walked in the room. so, so So she tells this to me and this other guy, and he and I hit the floor. We bust out laughing just like you did, and we was like, and so of course the guy that I work with, he was a mess. He goes, you know what? She right because I feel it every time you come in here. And we
I
started
wish I could have been a fly on the wall seeing her facial expression.
I said, and she just was like, "Can you believe that to me?" And it was just like, it was just like, wow. And it was just like, how could someone say that to somebody?
Shit.
But, but when you have had enough and you felt like, and at that moment, she felt like the peace and serenity that was happening in that room at that time was invaded and she felt where it was coming from, and it was just like, and just being in that moment, it was just like, ooh, the girl ended up leaving, she ended up quitting the job or whatever, and moving on, but it was just like, what do you do with that? Somebody
Exactly.
tells you, right. Jules talk about somebody sucked out of the room.
Yeah. You got people that got that kind of energy. They just soon as they walk in.
Soon as they walk in. And it's just like at the end of the day, that's when you gotta really start thinking about what does peace mean to you? And this is a question that I charge each and every one of you with. What does peace mean to you? We know peace is a state of inner calm. We know it's tranquility. We know it's mental clarity. We know it's free from the pressures of the external stressors as well as internal conflict. That's what peace is.
Yes.
It involves emotional stability where you feel balanced, grounded, and unburdened. Y'all hear
I'm
that?
here.
Unburdened, right?
I'm burdened.
Unburdened by anxiety, anger, or any kind of turmoil. Peace is not just not having any conflict, right? But
Right.
it's a sense of harmony with yourself and with the world around you,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? And it's
Exactly.
like, it's being able to accept your challenges, accept life's challenges without losing a sense of yourself. Because
Woo.
it's when we think about today's society, it's so easy to lose a sense of ourself that it gets ridiculous. Maintaining clarity and perspectives in the face of adversity and fostering a sense of contentment and
Girl,
well-being.
you ain't
That's
said
what
nothing but a
peace
word.
is.
Yes.
That's what peace is. And
Yeah.
it's just like when I hear that, I want a piece of peace. you know, I want a piece of peace.
Right, but you know what? People don't understand, especially ones that are always used to being in some type of conflict, somebody draining, always walking in the room, draining
hmm
the energy.
hmm
And just like, oh my God, do you not realize how irritating it is to be around you because you drain me? And it may
hmm
not have to be a long period of time, just your energy. You may not have to open
Yep.
your mouth, but I could tell by
hmm
your body language how you moving and
hmm
I'm not here for that shit.
They come in the door and they want to suck their teeth.
Like, look, take that shit somewhere else. Cause see,
hmm
wherever you got that problem from, and that's one thing I do not like, and I try to make it a habit not to do myself because it's easy to
hmm
get agitated. It's easy to
hmm
snap at the first person that walks in
hmm
the room, especially if they're close to you. But I
hmm
try to make it a habit of not doing that because,
hmm
first of all, they didn't put me in that place,
Right.
and they might be the one to talk me off the ledge,
Right.
just to get me
hmm
in a nice space. But
Right.
people just don't understand the cost of peace, whether you
Mhm.
putting down monetary money or you are actually just trying to walk out the room just to get some fresh air.
Exactly. Child, when I felt like my peace was being invaded, I was ready to put out money. And it wasn't small bills, it was like thousands because I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I am doing everything in my possible power to keep myself as calm as I can. Right. Even though I'm anger Dr. Tyra on Instagram, right? But let me
Right.
tell y'all, before I was anger Dr. Tyra, I was Tyra turn it up. You ain't know look, I practice what I preach.
Well, first of all, you a fellow Libra sister, so I know. I know
You
that
know it
Libra
goes
energy.
down. Uh-huh. And September Libras is worse than October Libras when we turn it up.
Girl, because there's a touch of Virgo up in that mix. So that yeah, it's like on the border.
Girl. So it was just like so at that point it was just like, saying to myself and thinking to myself, what, And it was just like, and at that point, that's when when you see things is not going to change, or people around you say, "Oh, I'm going." Oh, no, 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 no. That's when you have to go. That's when you got to cat down. And what I mean, cat claw down is get all your fours down and start enforcing them boundaries.
Yeah, and
You know.
the thing about that is when people have the nerve to get offended though when you try to let them know that hey, look, the space you got me in right now is
Mm-hmm.
not working for either one of our benefits, particularly mine,
Right.
because I don't give a damn if you want to stay in a funky place, but please don't disrupt my peace.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And people continue to do it. So as we
Yep.
start to discover, because I know you mentioned spiritual earlier and me
Yes.
about reading energy, And that was even before I even took the spiritual path, that, you could just
Uh-huh.
sense some people's energy. Because, you and I used to have conversations after we get off a platform, like, look, if that bitch say one more damn thing to me, I'm going to, girl, you already know them conversations we used to have behind the scenes.
I know. I
And I'm
know.
like,
I
it's
know.
best for me to walk away. Because, see, if I get to that point,
Hmm.
it's not going to be a pretty, it's not going to be a pretty outcome. Because
Right.
my mouth gets reckless.
Right. And the thing is, and I think, when it came to like social media, people was acting as if, and still do act as if, things don't matter, right? That they can continue to say and do whatever they want, and it's not going to affect anybody. For number one, back in the 80s and 90s, right? And I'm yeah, 80s and 90s and 70s, we had something called print media. Let me just school y'all. We had print media and radio media, right? So the accessibility of the things that we have access to now was not nowhere written, right? We never
Nowhere.
seen days like this coming, where we could just, one thing we load, anything we want to know, we could research and Google it,
Right from your
you
laptop, your
know.
phone.
Right. So it's like, so when you look at stuff like, things that's going on now, it's like when we read articles and stuff, right? And take a step even further. Books,
Whew,
right? When
what's
you
that?
read when a book, girl, let me tell you, a whole book, a novel. So when you reading a novel, right? I just remember, like, my mom was an avid reader and still is an avid reader, right? She just, always reading something. And I just remember the tone. Always pay attention to the tone of the story. This
Yeah.
is the tone, giving the characters a voice.
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to see what the author looks like, especially if they writing under a different name, because I don't want to lose what I envision this person to be.
Yeah. But that's true. When you would read a book, you would kind of paint these characters in your mind as you went along with
Hmm.
the dialogue of the story. And
Right.
I think that's been such a stunt in our society, because
Hmm.
even though we still have great books still coming out, we got some great
Right.
written works, people don't indulge in that as much as they used to before all this
Hmm.
technology came along.
Right. Right. And it's like, now that we have technology out there, your peace is invaded all the time. And so, what the point that I'm getting at is, peace was a little bit more protected
Yeah.
in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Peace was protected, right?
Whew, Lord,
Let me
yes.
give y'all a little tidbit of information. Peace ain't protected now. We in 2024, right? Nobody. What's my boys that I like to watch? Their tagline is "Nobody safe." My boys, look, my boy, I love that show.
But that's true.
Nobody's safe, and the thing is, it's just like, and they're 100% correct. They're 100% correct. Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
And it's like, at this point, when we look at the year 2024 and where we're at now, everybody can get it, everybody is getting it,
And
right?
it's so disrespectful, because I've seen grown people going for people's children. That I
What
don't
kind of
understand.
stuff is that?
That's a
You leave,
cowardly ass move, if you
you
ask
leave
me.
these babies alone.
What they got to do with your trauma,
That part, that part, that
girl?
part. And it's just like, just mind your business. But the thing is, minding your business is one of the freest things that you can do. Just like paying attention is a free thing, but they don't do it.
They don't do it.
They don't do it.
Some people would rather just indulge knee deep, if not more, into whatever trauma's going on. But I also
Hmm.
found out that
Hmm.
although we're trying to protect our peace, we're also in an age of validation. People need
Yes.
so much validation, and the only way I get this is to make myself relevant. So since I don't really have anything to stand on that would be, I guess, professionally looked at, let me be as disruptive as possible.
But I'm gonna say this though, Michelle, because I'm gonna take it another step further. We got people who are relevant that's doing disturbing stuff, and I'm not going to even go down that rabbit hole. Okay, I ain't gonna go down the
I don't
whole
want to.
rabbit hole,
I'll get a
right?
headache.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But you know the rabbit hole I'm talking about. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
We got folks doing stuff for attention,
Yes.
and it's just getting out of hand. You know what I mean? When I look at one of the biggest stories that's on TV, which wasn't something me and you talked about earlier, but when I look at one of the biggest stories on TV, right now everybody is talking.
Everybody got something to say now.
Everybody got something to say.
You stepped on my toe.
So, right. But the thing is, and I'm saying, and the thing is, I don't want nobody to think that myself and Michelle is laughing about the situation because we're not.
No.
What we're trying to say is now everybody got something to say. Well, one thing I will say, I'm not an attorney, but I used to work in a law school, right? When you start talking about how you was in places and been places and all up in the mix of things for not one day, not 2 day, but years and years and years, who do you think is next on the list to go?
That's what people don't understand. You're
And
trying to be
y'all,
braggadocious.
I'm looking at this one person that keep running, 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 and I ain't saying his name, but I'm just like, dude, shut the, you really like at this point, I really need you to be quiet because, I don't care how long you've been talking, but at this point, you know,
Shut up.
unless you want to be locked up with them.
But that's why I don't understand because, like I said, with this major story taking place, and there's so much more that we're not aware of as of yet. But the people that are still talking about the affiliation, talking about the parties, and I'm like, well, if you were there, don't you think you're painting yourself into a whole corner to be investigated? Don't make no
Right.
sense to me.
But the thing is, right, with tying that into our topic tonight, right? People going to have to set personal boundaries with themselves
Yes.
to not allow this to affect their lives and allow this into their space,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's starting to get it was already messy, but now all it's doing is going to get messier and messier and messier and messier. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and now it's like I know certain podcasts is going nuts because now they trying to. I know they on the hunt, they on the prowl, trying to get these guests that's
Yeah.
related to that. You know what I mean? Doing what they do.
I don't want to
No,
talk to nobody or any traumatic situation unless it's going to be beneficial to the audience. I don't have an interest in because that shit come and go.
it come and go. My thing is, I don't need nobody knocking on my door.
Look, I was gonna make a joke, but it'll be obvious on what's going on. So I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing.
Right? No, yeah, no, no. You know what I mean? With no BS, and I'm just like I'm talking about like what a bang bang type thing going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because there's certain guests we can get that I know we can get. You can get and I can get.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But at this point, it's like, no, I'm not with that life. I'm
I
good
ain't,
over. I'm good over
I
here.
ain't saying shit. You
Mm,
know what? I like my life peaceful. I don't feel I
peaceful.
need to be validated by
Hmm.
coattailing off of some
Right.
drama.
And my thing and the thing is just looking at how the peace is being disturbed right now. I'm looking at domestic violence victims. I'm looking at trauma, right? Because prayerfully, this whatever this trial is that comes up, prayerfully it doesn't come on television, right? Because number one, I know is enough traumas out there,
Mm-hmm.
that people are experiencing. And at this point, it's like, no, 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 no. People don't need to see another trauma. It's like you got enough trauma just walking out your damn door.
Girl, before I even get to the bathroom, okay, just in your face consistently. But
Hmm.
let me bring this to the table real quick. Do you think
Yeah.
there are examples of life issues worth disturbing the peace? I mean, are there situations that you look, I got to disrupt your peace right now because I know you want to stay in this peaceful thing, but there's something that needs to be addressed. Can you think of any situations that would be cause for that?
Cause for somebody to disturb somebody's peace. Some situations, I would say, when you think about crimes, sometimes people, they put a blind eye to certain things, and sometimes people want to give them the information and say, you know what, I better tell them. They need
Yeah.
to know
Yeah.
what's going on. And, you know, that's a judgment call on the individual that's doing the talking,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the person is all about choices and
Hmm.
decisions, and at that point, when people know information, you control how you deliver the information, right? But at that point, you got to be willing to accept whatever's going to happen
Yeah, and that's true.
afterwards.
That's
You
true
know
because
what I
Jules,
mean?
Jules just tapped
um
on something. Says when she's asked her opinion and I give it and they get mad. That's another thing why I don't like,
mhm,
because I have no problem telling
mhm,
somebody what it is, but then the
mhm,
aftermath is still there. You're like, okay, well, I'm trying to tell you this for your own good,
mhm,
but either you don't want to listen, you get an attitude, or whatever the
mhm.
case may be.
But you know what? At that point, it's just like you got to look at the person that's going to be the recipient of the advice. You know, because sometimes we know. I'm gonna say at least 50% of the time we know the individual we trying to give the advice to, and we know how far to take them. We know how far to take them. Some are willing to accept the advice, and some are just like, you, and then you're like, oh, go somewhere, go sit down.
But see, I'm in a space right now. Is it worth disrupting my peace? And I know that sometimes those
But you know,
conversations have to be had, and
mhm,
I
but the
know that
thing
it's things that
is,
need to be put out.
and at that point, I would say you sit down with yourself and you really sit down and think about it. Is it worth it? You create yourself a pros and cons list, right? To identify what are my pros? What am I going to benefit? Number one, how will I benefit from telling this person? What am I going to gain? Are you going to get any kind of personal gain from it? You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
how are you going to feel once you give the information?
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about, it's about you, right? And what kind of, what benefits is going to come out of it? Is it going to disrupt the relationship that you have with the individual that you may be trying to share the information with?
That's a point.
Like
Yeah.
you see stuff like that happen in with okay, friends with cheating men, or cheating girlfriend, cheating boyfriend, whatever the situation. You always see that with that, right? And I just remember a friend of mine. She was always in other people's business, and she was she was like really, she was right though. She was telling people their truths, And she's like, "Yeah, it's cheating on you. You need to leave him alone." And it was just like, girl. I told her, I said, "Can you stop?" And so she said, "What I do?"
Stop.
I said,
Yeah.
"Stop." I said, "Stop." And this had to be about 10, 15 years ago. And she looked at me and she's like, "What do you mean stop?" I said, "She gonna still be with him whether you with him or not.
And that's one
Whether
thing I
you
learned.
whether you know this information, she's not gonna go until
That
she's ready."
until she's ready. And see, that's why I really made a habit not to. I mean, don't mind being a helping hand with some people, but like
Mhm.
I said, if you lack passion for yourself, I can't have the passion for you. But
Right.
also, if I know I'm going to have this conversation with a friend that's been doing some real shady nonsense,
Mhm.
and I know how they're going to react. Or
Mhm.
the flip side is, because I did have a prior situation like that, being friends, and you try to advise your friends when they come to you for advice, but
Mhm.
then they stab you in the back
Mhm.
trying to label your advice to them that they asked
Mhm.
for. Oh, they said I was just too so and so and so because you asked me.
Right. Right.
Okay. So if
Right.
you don't want my truth, don't ask me.
Mhm. But you ever see those situations where people know what's going on and they make the choice, you know what? I ain't even going to tell them. And
Yeah.
then some other blabbermouth be like, "Well, she knew.
Oh, shut your ass up.
She knew." And then the person looking at you like,
Oh, I'll be
"Ah,
happy to address. I've gotten to a point right now, Tyra. I'm reckless right now when it comes to just
mhm,
putting up my boundaries. If a
mhm,
friend that we have in common, I knew about a situation, and if they come to me, well, you knew, why didn't you tell me? Because I knew I didn't want to be bothered. Number two was none of my business. And I
mhm,
don't feel like dealing with your response
mhm,
because either way, you're going to do
mhm,
what you want to do anyway. So why am I going
mhm."
to waste my time and get worked up?
That part. That part. And I mean, and that's what people need to understand. Some things, I'm gonna say there are some situations that's worthy for you to talk about
Hmm.
and address, and there's other situations where you just don't want to,
I
you
don't want.
know. But when I look at, the path that a lot of people have been taking this past year, and I'm going to say the past I'm gonna say the past 5 to 6 months, a lot of people that I've spoken to, friends, and just other people, everybody is like choosing the path of peace.
Why not?
Peace and boundaries. I just want people to leave me alone. We know boundaries are essential to our daily living. We have to have these boundaries, right? Because at the end of the day, what boundaries is behavior you're going to accept from other people and how you will respond when they cross the line. The bottom line is, don't cross the line. This is what I said. This is what it is, and that's it. But when people cross the boundaries and the lines, now granted, I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna keep it real 100. There's still situations that sneak up on you,
Yeah.
and you don't know your boundary about to be crossed until it's crossed, and you like, wait a minute, I don't like stuff like that.
I don't like stuff like that either. But see, once I see the storm coming, I see
Mhm,
them dark clouds starting to brew over me. I'm
mhm.
like, okay, let me get my umbrella because I gotta get my ass up out of here.
But Michelle, what have you ever had it where you got blindsided and it just happened?
Yeah, I
And
have.
how did you handle that?
First of all, depending on how deep it was, I could either
Mhm,
say, "Look, don't be bringing me this bullshit," and you know how I
mhm,
am, Tyra. I'm like, "Don't be
mhm,
bringing me this bullshit." And
mhm,
depending on how close I am with them, but if it's somebody that is I have true respect for, and I'm like, "Look, this is a lot, and I
mhm,
don't mind having a
mhm,
conversation. But what
mhm,
I'm not gonna do is harp on this shit, especially if I've already told you so. I already
right.
gave you a warning shot about it,
Mhm,
but you did what you wanted to do anyway. I don't
mhm,
want to be the one to keep saying I told you so, and I really don't want to revisit the conversation.
mhm. Every time I hear "I told you so," I think about the "I told you so" song from Will and Grace. Did you ever heard that one? Because the thing is, it's just like, I'm a sitcom buff, y'all. I just love sitcoms and some of the ones that have the most memorable things. But it's just like, it's a whole "I told you so" song,
It is.
where, at the end of the day, it's like you get tired of telling people so.
And I'm not the way I look at it, like I said, I
Mhm,
don't mind being a good friend. I don't mind walking somebody through it. But if
mhm.
it's a constant pattern where I have to see you every week and it's a new drama or it's the same thing we just talked about.
Girl, you talk about Instagram.
Let me tell you something. IG is almost foreign to me nowadays because I'll go on there, I put up my promos. I'm not really interacting as much on Instagram because there's so much nonsense. So much nonsense. It'll be like, you're having a good time and alive.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
one disruptive factor comes in the room and just switches up the whole vibe.
I mean, and it was just like, I haven't seen, I guess, because I haven't been on as much as I was, right? And I didn't like last week, it was like a whole bunch of unnecessary drama
Yeah.
over there. And I just was like, I'm like, what the hell happened? And people like text DMing me and calling me, telling me about what was going on. And I was just like, ooh. And I'm thinking to myself, and I reached out to my girl, you go bust out laugh. I reached out to my girl, Oso Cupcakes. I said, girl, people still doing this kind of stuff. And all she could do is start, she's like, well, where you been? And I said, not on social media. And she said, I haven't been on there either. But it feels
Yeah.
like you ever have a situation where you feel like it's like Groundhog Day. That movie Groundhog Day. You talk to somebody
Yes.
and then y'all haven't talked in a while, but then you come back and you're like, God damn, you still talking about that? That's how I felt going on Instagram.
Girl, it be some of the most recycled trash, the same
It's
characters.
like
And
you
I'm
still
like, y'all
talking
ain't got over this shit yet. Why y'all still talking about this? Move
and
on.
I'm just like, I mean, it was like with the lies, I see people lying. This lady, it was so funny because this lady, she disrupted a lot of people's peace, right? And she told a whole lot of lies. But I was I was watching this thing that happened on with this woman was in a canoe and she's in the middle of the ocean and she got scared and paranoid because a whole bunch of dolphins came and swarmed her in this thing. You ain't see it. I gotta send it to you.
You guys send that to me.
So, okay, so she freaking out in the middle of this canoe, and so I live for the comments. And so people was in the comments
The comments
like,
always sting.
yo, they was like, and of course they like, well, bitch, you went to their house. They didn't come to yours. I'm just like, wait a minute. So then this woman that disrespected so many people's peace by scamming them. I read in the comments, she talk about how she was a scuba diver. I said, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. When did you become a scuba diver? And I said, damn, people still lying. And it was just like, I'm listening, reading all this, and I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I guess some things just don't. It's just like, you know what? I started becoming a little naive
I
when
I
it
wouldn't say
came
you're
to,
naive.
well, no, because you know what? I thought a lot of this stuff that was happening during COVID, before COVID, I thought a lot of this stuff stopped.
That shit was like, I think the
It
pandemic,
intensified it.
it intensified any already existing pettiness,
Hmm.
mental illness, all that shit escalated. I mean, because I know we know a similar character that I don't give a
Hmm.
damn if I see her, hear that she always got something to say about shit that happened 5 years ago. I'm like, Heifer, if you do not get your life, and if this is the only way you could feel relevant, I don't know what's going on with you. You are just your own worst enemy. Why are you
Yes.
still talking about say a situation that you know what you were responsible for 5 years later? Go ahead.
I,
5 years.
people, because I think people don't know how to move on.
I think it's a point of relevance because the way from my observations and from
Hmm.
me really consistently trying to protect my own peace,
Hmm.
I have adapted some new rules for myself as well as anybody I affiliate with, and I
Okay.
also make observations more before because I think that was one of the reasons we let too much bad energy in our spaces during the pandemic
Hmm.
because that was the only way we were socializing was on these social platforms, but at the same time we were entertaining too much energy without investigating.
But you know what it was also? It was it was mass. It was mass. A lot of I'm gonna say a lot of the energy, a lot of the situations, I think a lot of it was masked. It was a wall up and a mask up because of the pandemic. I think we all gave a pass. We gave passes to a lot of situations and a
Yeah.
lot of individuals, right? Because we knew that a lot of people may have been lonely. We knew that it might have been, just different things going on because we knew that it was a different time in everybody's life that we never lived in. And we allowed people in our spaces because we was given, we was trying to give people a break, giving people a chance because we didn't know where their headspace was.
Shit. I almost got like a scan detector. When I look at your face, I'm like, you look a little off. I'm gonna sit back and watch you for a minute. But you are so right about people just doing the most and
Mhm.
still disrupting. The thing about it is, and I've also made this observation when I see people not within peace within themselves,
Yes.
that's a big red flag for me. If I see
Mhm.
that every time I turn around and nobody's causing you any drama, but you always seem to have it.
Right. Right. And then, you know what? And that does come from people not having inner peace, people not knowing who they are. They
Hmm.
low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth, right? I told someone earlier today, you have to look at yourself as a business, right? And what is your mission statement for you? What's the mission statement of you? What is your vision statement of you? What is your
Hmm.
purpose statement
Move
of
it
you?
around.
You know what I mean? So when you start looking at what's my mission, what's my vision, what's my purpose, right? At this point, right, when we look at this, right, because formulating a business is just like formulating your damn self,
That's what I don't understand, though, Tyra. I mean,
like
we have
formulating
moments.
yourself, because
Yeah.
you got to identify all of this. Once you identify that, that's what makes you you?
Exactly.
What are your
But
core values?
that's something I definitely had to get back to
Yeah, because a
because
lot of yeah.
you get distracted, you be so caught up
Hmm.
in the nonsense. You're like, well, damn, I was on a path for a moment, and I've been the crumb trail has gone, is no longer existing right now. So what am I gonna do? But at the
Hmm.
same time, we do
Right.
have this things where we do have to disrupt peace, but I try to stay far away from it as possible. I don't
Yes.
want to be bothered with none of that bullshit. That's why, like I said, when
Hmm.
I go on IG, okay, scroll, post by.
Hmm.
That's the way
Get
I'm
in and
moving.
out. And it's so funny because I got a company called Postly that I'll have, and I did the lifetime membership on AppSumo for those that don't know. And so
Mhm.
what happened was, and I have an affiliate link I can give the folks, y'all can check out all the merchandise they have. What AppSumo has is a bunch of lifetime stuff. Everything you purchase and it's a lifetime. You have no more membership fees, nothing. So when I
Oh
got
shit.
Postly allows me to post on all platforms, right?
Yeah.
And I don't use it to the full potential, and it's like when you look at Postly, Buffer, Hoopsuite, and stuff like that, and even
Yep.
Facebook have where you can schedule your
Schedule.
posts. If you schedule these posts through these platforms, you don't have to worry about going to
I
none of them.
I can't remember unless it's last minute because since I was sick yesterday, I had to do some last
Hmm.
minute posting this morning. But like I said, once
Hmm.
I did that, I got off
Hmm.
because I don't want to be, in the mix of any crossfire. I'll say it that way. And even though it's been very quiet on IG, it could be
Hmm.
that way because the way I'm moving on Instagram nowadays, I'm just not
Hmm.
as intrigued to be a part of that platform as much because it's just a disruption to my peace. So that's
Hmm.
why I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on. Okay,
Hmm.
good. Post a couple of stories, couple of posts. Okay, I'm going. Bye.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just like, and then, the first thing people say, well, why ain't you on like you was? Because I got something called a life.
That, and I know this is off topic, but there's a lot of opportunists online too. You and I both have platforms, and I'll get random inboxes. I want to be on your show. Now, one thing I don't like is for
Mhm.
you. I mean, I'm glad you're expressing the interest, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. I'm not saying that to be snobbish, but you
Right.
have to be selective of your content when you have a platform. And if it
Hmm.
don't make sense and it don't fit, then no, I'm not going to have it. And people will get an attitude with you when you tell them, I don't think you're going to be a good fit for a conversation
Hmm.
or the brand.
Hmm.
You just think you all that. No, I see just that shit you just did right there
Right.
showed
But
me I made the right decision.
right. And the thing is like you've come to a place where it's like you established a certain type of platform.
Yeah.
And when you establish that type of platform, it's like, okay, granted, a lot of us was all over the place during the pandemic, you know. And so we was interviewing everybody. Like, I think about my recovery room. When I had recovery room was all bets off. Anybody come with it,
It,
right?
it, it was
But
everybody up in there.
but
You
when I
couldn't
get
get back. You
Tyra's
go
just saying, you better have a business.
that and see, that's the thing. If I had a platform where y'all could go back and forth with each other and all that shit, and
Hmm.
personally, I don't want to hear it because then
Hmm.
I gotta, even though when I turn all my devices off, I still gotta go to bed with that energy on me. I don't want
Right.
it.
And the thing is, being able to take time off of when we do come off of social media, being able to detach yourself, right? Being able to set that boundary between social media and home, whether it's going to watch mindless television just so that you can start, whether it's writing in a journal, reading your Bible, doing something so that is not the last thing that's on your mind, right? Because that's something that I always tell people when you have when we go to bed at night, do you sleep with your computer? Do you sleep with the TV on? Right? Because the thing
Mhm.
is, whatever that last thing that was on your television screen, that's
It's
what's embedded in your head, right?
there.
Now, with the food you eat, the last thing you ate, that's going to be in your system,
Yeah.
right? And that's going to come back. Look, I'm gonna mess with y'all tonight. Michelle already did this. They did this during the pandemic. The Doritos. You you want to have a nightmare at night? Eat something with nacho cheese.
I know. Let me tell you something. I'm so glad I'm at that mindset because see, when you in a damn black dark ass state, You'll go to Taco Bell at 10 o'clock at night knowing damn well you ain't got no reason eating that shit. And why am I on the toilet all damn night? Because you knew better. You
Right.
went there
So
anyway.
in the meantime, you ever had them dreams when you go to sleep, you dream and it feel like you falling off the thing and you jumping? Eat some nacho cheese. Eat some Taco Bell. Eat something that you ain't supposed to be eating with that's high in sodium and see what happens to you in the middle of the night. Hot sweats. And it ain't a hot flash. It's a
No.
flash because you shouldn't have been messing with that sodium before going to bed.
Girl, I'm so good. I'm good. Like, let me just get a quick smoothie if I get hungry, piece of fruit, because I don't need the
The
agitation while
extras.
I'm sleeping. I don't want it
And
while
that's
I'm
but you
sleeping.
know what? But that's exactly what it is. It's the agitation when you're sleeping.
Ooh. But I
You
know
know?
we deal with so much nowadays. But do you have any techniques or recommendations on how we can protect our peace and keep our boundaries broad for people trying to disrupt your peace?
Okay, so what I'm gonna say is number one, we gotta look at when our being able to recognize when your boundaries is being tested, right? Look at what's happened. Look at the passive aggressive behavior that might be coming your way. Look at the guilt trips that somebody is giving to you. The disrespect of personal time and space. Pay attention to that. That is being able. They are signs that your boundaries is being tested, right? And when your boundaries is being tested, your peace is being broken, right? Being able to, when you recognize these things happening, start working on enforcing boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, you got to choose you and not allow others to invade who you are, right? And so with choosing you, being able to be assertive, but be calm about it. You ain't gotta go screaming, hollering, and yelling, to get a point across.
Yeah.
Say what it is and just leave it right there. You don't have to, the bottom line is being able to get away from aggressive reactions. There's no need to get aggressive. Just handle it in a calm manner that that always helps. Being able to start prioritizing your self-care, right? And the self-care I'm talking about is the most peaceful word in the world, right? Protecting your peace means saying no.
No.
Say no without being guilty. Because see, the thing is, people say no, but then they feel guilty, right? And how it works with no and guilt is a person will say, "Well, how come? Please, 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 pretty please. Why? But why? But why?" And they but why you to death till you say, okay, yeah, against your better judgment.
See, I'm glad that you know me better than that because you already know how if somebody keeps worrying the
No is
shit out of
no.
me. I told your ass no. This is my last conversation about it. No.
Right. And you're firm with it and you say what it is. And it's being able to, have that moment of being able to say no. Because one thing I always say, I always think about a conversation we had about yes people. Yes
Oh,
people put you in a place that you don't want to be in,
mm-mm. Because you're
you
lying.
know? Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
lying to me. You just
Mm-hmm.
saying yes
Mm-hmm.
to anything,
Yep. Mm-hmm. You
even if it's
know,
detrimental.
right. Exactly. Exactly. Another thing is having a support system. Support systems matter.
Yes,
Okay, I
they
put
do.
that on a t-shirt. Support systems matter. And being able to have that support system, right? Being able to practice forgiveness,
I'm working
right?
on that. I'm working
Well,
on
you
that.
know what? Forgiveness is definitely something. I have somebody I want you to for an interview. That's real good. So that's she's a forgiveness expert, child. But practicing forgiveness, right?
Mhm.
Um, that's definitely something that will help you when people cross your boundaries, right? Number one, being able to forgive yourself for past mistakes and practice forgiving others, but never at the expense of reestablishing peace. You want to maintain your peace, and
Mhm.
sometimes, I'm not going to say sometimes, all the time, when we do the forgiveness, right? The forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
I've heard that, but I'm still
I
trying to
know,
adapt.
I
I'm
know,
still.
but and it's so funny. I'm gonna say, because you and I was talking about the situation earlier today, watching Shine. If you want to
Yes.
listen to forgiveness, I want y'all to, like if you haven't seen the interview with Shine, Burrows on social media today because it was all over social media.
Everywhere.
Please watch, watch it, and just listen to his calm voice and listen to him talk about forgiveness, you know, and how he had to forgive and and acknowledging it was for him, you
I
know,
I saw that
and
video. Yeah, that was deep.
you can forgive and but he also said, I'll never forget.
I got a boundary with that, Tyra. I'm not going to even lie. I know I should forgive for my sake, not the other person's. But
Right.
that is something I will admit I am still struggling with. That even though
But
I'm
you know
not,
what?
ugh,
But you know what? I agree because like when and it's like I was watching it because it was so heartfelt because I'm with you, Michelle. I don't know if I can forgive with his situation. Forgiveness is very real hard. I'm
very.
not gonna forget, and the R word is gonna come into play. Revenge.
And see,
But
I'm stepping back from that.
but
I put it in
but
God's hands.
right,
Yeah.
right. But that's what we gotta do. Revenge is mine, saith the Lord. You know
Yes.
what I mean? That's when we gotta go to our Bible verses and just let him take over, take the
Ooh,
will.
that section of my Bible gonna be worn. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because
But that's what we gotta let him take they say Jesus take the wheel. We gotta let him take the wheel and
yeah,
handle all of the situations. And it sounds like with listening to that man talk today, what do you think he did?
he did the right
See,
thing.
karma's not gonna come when you want it,
Right.
right? Karma
Mhm.
comes when it's supposed to come,
Ooh, sometimes I
you
be
know,
trying
and
to.
and that's why, and when you think about forgiveness, right? When we think about peace, protecting our peace, we think about establishing these boundaries. We think about forgiveness and all of that, right? We don't want to put the K word in there, but karma always comes.
That's one
And it
thing.
don't come when you want it, but it will come.
It eventually makes their way. It does, and that's why I'm.
And
Ugh,
mhm. And the thing is, what people think, they also think it comes on that individual. It don't have to come on that individual. It can come on their kids. It can come on other people. You know what I mean? So it's like
mhm.
you really truly have to be good. What's so bad about being kind?
You want to be kind, but I think no, I'm serious because I'm speaking from
Yeah.
personal experience. You
Hmm.
want to be kind.
Hmm.
You want to have the best intentions, but at the same time, once you see that some nonsense is
Hmm.
consistent and
Yes.
disrespectful, this
Hmm.
when you get, I know with me particularly, I get into a
Hmm.
space like, okay, you just flat out disrespectful. And since
Hmm.
even though I try to have a conversation with you about this, it's just
Hmm.
best I step back from you
Hmm. Hmm.
and just don't interfere with me ever again.
Right. But I like what you just said. Don't interfere with me ever again. Letting them, y'all, you walk away, I'm walking away, I'm letting go, I'm not detached. That's a strategy for protecting your boundary.
Mm-hmm. No, it
You know
is.
what I mean? Emotional detachment helps in maintaining peace, even when others test your limits.
And girl, Lord
Allow yourself,
knows.
girl, allow yourself to disengage from situations that drain your energy. Walk away when necessary to preserve your inner calm. And this is what we got to continue. Our inner calm is important.
It's important, but like I said, we have people that surround us, unfortunately, that
Mhm.
make it a habit to purposely go out and disrupt your peace. May
Right.
not be anything that was personally that happened,
Hmm.
but that's something they get a kick out of. Let me
Hmm.
see
Hmm.
how agitated I can get this
Hmm.
person by disrespecting their boundaries. And then when you tell them no, leave me
Hmm.
alone, I need
Hmm.
you out of my space,
Hmm.
it's then they have the nerve to get in their feelings. And that's what kills me. I'm being
Hmm.
respectful, telling you how I feel.
Hmm. Hmm.
And since you don't want to listen, now I'm
Right.
going to have to be my back turned, my
Hmm.
your numbers blocked,
Hmm.
all that.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
just me.
I get it. But the thing is, you got to stay firm and reiterate them. The one thing that I used to hate to tell people, but I know it was always true, is we got to teach people how to treat us. And in order to teach people how to treat us, we have to put out these boundaries.
You have
We
to.
have to. We have to be firm. We have to. We can acknowledge their feelings if it's a disagreement or whatever, but you also have to stand your ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be okay with standing your ground.
Shit, I
You
ain't got
know,
no.
'cause
I didn't got so comfortable.
you know, and my thing, you know what else I'm gonna tell you too with this boundaries piece? Don't over explain things or keep apologizing, because sometimes when you just constantly have to explain why you're establishing these boundaries to people,
I
they
ain't
want
doing
to they
shit.
want you to justify every damn thing. You ain't gotta justify nothing. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation of your boundaries. If
Nope.
you explain it too much, it invites them to further debate you for an attempt to negotiate. If you ain't in rooms for negotiation, you ain't got to. And you don't have to apologize for setting a boundary with people.
Amen.
Now you can also set consequences
Mm.
when people don't uphold your boundaries. And when you set these consequences, right, you know, follow through with them. Because see, the thing is, people will say, "Well, don't do that." You see it with kids all the time.
Yeah.
People will punish them and then, okay, go get a cookie. What you said this kid can't have no cookies? Like I'm thinking about that little girl. What's that little girl? The little girl that drove us up to Target the other day, the 8-year-old. What the hell is her consequence?
Right. Because I'm like, this is already behind the wheel. What else you gonna do?
What else she gonna do? She done stole the van. She done went, got a shopping cart at the Target, drove 20 minutes in the car. So what's our consequence?
But see, that's the thing about consequence. I mean, I just had a situation with my son where I had to take one of his devices away,
Okay.
and he tried to calm me today,
Hmm.
talking
Hmm.
about how he need his device. It's been long. I said no, because why you got that stuff taken away is because of that
Hmm.
situation you're very aware of. You're not
Right.
gonna get it back, and I
Hmm.
get to see more of you without that
Hmm.
device. So you just gonna have to suck it up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it happens. I mean, as much as you don't want to, but you have to set boundaries. You have to be firm with the consequences, because that's the only way people will understand. But also we got to be prepared for the guilt trip, because people will guilt trip us, you know. And if it's a situation when it comes to individuals that you need to limit contact with, like myself and Michelle was talking about, being able to be okay to establish that distance, like establishing a distance or social media, to stay away from all of the foolery and nonsense.
Yes.
Because like Michelle was saying earlier, and I totally wholeheartedly agree, there is a lot of opportunists out
Yes.
there. I seen it, seen a lot of it,
Girl.
that was going on, especially people trying to monetize off of people's deaths this past couple weeks.
Don't you
That
know what, Tyra? I
shit
was
to
trying my
me,
best not to go
I
there.
I know you was, but it's just like I just had to speak on it, because to me, let people rest in peace, and don't go monetizing off of their demise. It's not good,
It's just, I'm
and
gonna
just
say
it's
this.
it's disgusting.
I'm gonna say this because I did have a conversation with another individual that's witnessing this as well, and
Mhm.
I think it's disgusting that
Mhm.
a person that brought so much light to so many people, and then when they pass, the first thing everybody's trying to do is to use this and make money off of that. Use that, make money off of it. I'm like,
Mhm.
yo, y'all so damn disrespectful out there.
Mhm.
You don't
Mhm.
even know, is it going to go to the family? When we have people that are deceased, that were good-hearted people that supported us and we supported them,
Mhm. Mhm.
when they unfortunately pass, if you're going to
Mhm.
do something in their honor,
Mhm.
talk to the family, because that's
Right.
the main people that are suffering from a
Mhm.
loss.
But no, people want to grease their pockets.
That's, girl.
They
If
want
I,
to grease their
ooh,
pockets. They want to grease their pockets, and ain't nothing going to the family.
I'm trying my best to behave, but I have a
Mhm.
personal passion about that because I find it disgusting.
Mhm.
And I would like to take any individual who takes a person's death to be an opportunity to make some money. Y'all are disgusting.
Mhm. Yep.
Ooh,
And it's just like, when you look at situations like that, people are already vulnerable.
yes.
And when people are vulnerable, all of our levels is down. All of our signals, everything that's going on within our body, all of our resistance is down. Right. So anything can happen. We're vulnerable at a vulnerable state. And when that happens, people tend to take advantage, you
See, and
know.
that's why
And
I'm
that's
staying
that's who
away.
I like to call them peace invaders.
Yeah, well,
Not
that's why I'm
space
staying away.
invaders, peace invaders.
That's why I said I'm gonna stay away because I feel a certain way about that situation, and I'm
Mhm.
not happy. So let's move on before I get too petty on this broadcast.
Yeah. So, but okay, so I'm gonna give another tip for boundaries. Being able to recognize when to seek out for outside support. If you feel like you need help, you need to speak to a therapist, support group, or any type of professional to help you with toxic relationships. Is a number of us out there that's able to help you. There's a number of coaches, therapists, counselors, lawyers if you need one of them. Everybody is out there that's willing to help you with it. If your finances is messing with your peace, find yourself a good accountant. I know about 3 or 4 of them that can help you with that. But
I play with Monopoly money till it gets really in my bank account, just
I
to make
know that's
myself
right.
feel good.
I know that's right. But it's being able to focus on the goal of all of this is being able to focus on healthier connection, being able to handle resistance in challenging situations, being able to stay calm, confident, and consistent, and just continue to reinforce your boundaries so that you can protect your peace. It's all about the PYP, not PYT,
Woo!
PYP. Protect your peace.
And
If you
I
don't
am a
do nothing else, protect your peace.
And I promise you, that's the biggest foundation. And I want to also throw in, if you don't protect your peace, you
Hmm.
won't you won't be able to enjoy your life, even
That
regardless of
part.
how old you get, or if
Hmm.
you develop health issues because you've allowed
Hmm.
some shit to go on for too long and you never spoke on it
Hmm.
or you didn't leave it alone.
Hmm.
Please protect your peace. It's the biggest thing that you can enjoy while we are walking on this earth.
Right. Hmm.
And I had to find, I mean, I had to bump my head up against the wall because I thought it was one moment it was entertaining to be involved with all the nonsense, the back and forth, and it's not worth it. It really isn't,
Mm-mm.
because at the end of the day, these people don't really matter.
Right.
They do
Right.
not matter, and I do not
Mhm.
keep people close to me that make it a
Mhm.
habit to be disruptive.
Mhm. And it's like it always look. I always go back to my basketball wives. With Tammy Roman when she came out with the non-mother factor. You know
No,
what I mean?
let's
And
say it together. Non motherfucking
non-motherfucking
factor.
factor. You know what I mean? And it's just like when you think about that, that's basically what it is. She hit the nail with the hammer when she made that statement that time. And is what is a factor? You
My
know what I
peace.
mean? What is a factor to you? So I charge each and every one of you who watch us this evening or in the replay, how much does your piece cost? And what are you willing to do? What are you willing to compromise for your piece?
Girl,
You know,
that's a
I'm at,
mouthful.
and the thing is, it doesn't have to all the time be money. It's time. You know what I mean? Because the most valuable thing that's always wasted. That's the number one question that the people always get wrong. What's the most valuable thing we got that's always wasted?
Time. I can't get
Bingo.
it back. I can
Can't get it
always
back.
I can always make more money. I can always take another trip some other time if it didn't work out the first go round, but
Hmm.
I
But
cannot get
cannot
my
get
time back.
mm-mm. Not at all. Can't get it back.
Ooh,
By any means that you cannot get it back. So just being able to now start taking charge of your life, start taking charge of what's most important to you.
girl.
So I hope this helps everybody with,
It helped
and
me.
I mean our piece, and my thing is it's easy for our piece to get disturbed but is, one thing for it to continue to allow it. And is another thing to start working on it and finding ways so that you don't let this happen to you again. So that, because the thing is, when people know they got your ear and they can do things, they will continue on and on and on to the break of dawn. And I'm not doing that.
Go away with that. I just don't. And like I said, even though I'm in a better space within my life, it's
Hmm.
almost like I got a bloodhound nose when I see that type of energy coming my way. I may not have to interact with that person for too
Hmm.
long, and I know, okay, you're gonna be some trouble, you're gonna be
Hmm.
some drama. So
Hmm.
I'm just gonna keep a borderline affiliation
Hmm.
with you
Right.
because I can see the storm brewing.
Hmm.
you
I
know,
I get it. I get it.
so
Because the thing is, you do see it coming. You see it coming from a mile away.
like, nah.
And it is up to us at the end of the day. It's all about our choices. Do you choose to continue down that rabbit hole with these lug nuts and want to sit there and just
What?
and just want to allow this to go, and just allow this to continue? Sometimes, you just want to sit places and sit back and just laugh at
Yeah.
some of the stuff that goes on, And, one thing, I always tell people, you know, people don't all the time change the way you want them to. They change for 20 minutes and that's it. Whether
Switch
it's a
with the
month, two
mats.
months, and then that's it. But they always revert back. Change is something a person has to be willing to do,
If they ain't willing
and
to
it
do it,
takes time. It don't happen overnight. Like, baby, I'm back. No,
no.
go
The
back.
only the only change, because I never anticipate for a person to change because they're
Hmm.
pretty much set in their ways. But at the same
Right.
time, when it comes to dealing with me,
Hmm.
there's a certain way you're going to talk to me.
That's right.
There's a certain way you're going to respect me. If you
Hmm.
can't, you know, like I will respect your boundaries and your factors, it needs to
Hmm.
be vice versa. So
Right.
if we have that misunderstanding right out the gate, I don't think we should be affiliates
Right.
because
Right.
it's gonna get very disrespectful very quickly. And
Hmm.
I'm not trying to go there, but I can.
Right. Right. I understand. I understand. I understand totally. I understand totally.
My God. Well, Tyra, I always appreciate your advice, girl. And I know I'm going to talk to you on the back end because I know we got so many other experiences and life situations. Did you
Yes.
want to add anything else about the topic before we just
I just want everybody to continue, continue protecting your peace. Michelle, I love what you're doing with Talk to Me Michelle podcast. This is
thank you?
amazing. I love the lives. I love the live on YouTube. I love the audio on Spotify. Well, I'm gonna say all things media. I love all of that because y'all look, and if you're not following Talk to Me Michelle podcast, you need to be following it and listening to all of the amazing stories that she has on there. Let me tell you, all of the talks, the interviews. She got some bangers coming up in these next couple of weeks. Make sure you all stay tuned. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for having me on. And remember, everybody, protect your peace
And y'all be
and
sure to
set
follow
your
Dr.
boundaries.
Tyra. And Dr. Tyra and Dr. Candace has a great show, Mental Health Chicks. I'm telling you, if you think it's all about mental health, it is, but it's a casual conversation to make it relatable. You don't have to worry about, well, I understand what's going on. No, it is a conversation that deals with mental health. These two ladies know what they are talking about. I had the pleasure working with them when they first launched their podcast, and I watch it every time I see my notification come on. I'm like, oh, they on. Let me get my common sense factor because I need it.
It was always a pleasure working with you with that platform.
Oh, girl, always. I mean, we always support each other behind the scenes, but I cannot tell you again how much I appreciate you coming on today and discussing on protecting your peace, setting your boundaries, and we just gonna keep that energy going. We want to make sure everybody lives their best life. Don't
Yes,
deal with that. Filter through the nonsense,
that's
please.
right.
It's not even worth it. But
Not
Tyra,
worth it.
I'ma holler at you, girl. I
All
appreciate
right.
you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. I'm
Matter
going
of
to
fact,
log out.
no, tell everybody where they can follow you. That's the last part I
Oh,
forgot.
yeah. Oh, y'all can follow me on Instagram at Anger Dr. Tyra. You can also follow me at A Mental Health Minute. Also on YouTube, Tyra's Just Saying, as well as a mental health minute on YouTube as well. So the mental health minute with Doctors Candace and Tyra. I gotta add that because it's another one on there.
Yeah,
So
and my bad because I forgot y'all switched
you
that
know,
name up. So my
no,
bad,
we
but this
both of them. We mental health. Look, we was both of them. So
okay. I just want to make sure because people need to find y'all.
yeah,
Matter of
yes,
fact, I'm
yeah.
gonna send to a couple of people I think are mentally disturbed. But anyway, thanks again, Tyra girl. I will holler at
Thank
you
you
in these
so
streets.
much. Thank you.
No
All right,
problem, girl. Let me
everybody.
get my mouse working since I can make everything work here. But that was Dr. Tyra, y'all. Make sure y'all follow that woman. She has great publications out. She has lives that focus on business entrepreneurs. And every time she gets on live to discuss anything to do with socialization, mental health, the woman is on point, and I have been her friend. I've had the pleasure of being her friend for quite a number of years now. Her partner, Dr. Candace, will be on with me, and we're going to be talking about chaos addiction. Some of us got an addiction to chaos. I'll give you a prime example. How many of y'all watch reality shows back to back? You addicted to chaos. How many times do you find your name in some nonsense? You addicted to chaos. So I'm hoping that show gives you a little bit of insight. So if you guys follow me, you will see all the upcoming shows, all the upcoming guests I have. And again, please join me on my audio podcast. You get some of these interviews, but we've got some great solo topics. This week, I just had a conversation with Avery Washington, and we are talking about the status of womanhood. Have we gone too damn ratchet? Do we even give a damn anymore? So y'all go check out that conversation. It's a real good conversation. Of course, I will be back Tuesday. I've got another guest. You guys just watch it on social media because I don't promote until I get confirmation. That's just how I roll. I don't want to put too much out until I know I'm confirmed. So I'm hoping everybody enjoyed the show. Thank you, everybody that was in the comments as well as on Instagram. And we're going to do this again, boys and girls. And I may come on with a couple of solo episodes. I just got to find the time to do it, y'all. So again, thank you guys so much. And I believe that's going to be it, boys and girls. So until then, I'm out.
Talk to me, Michelle. On the street lights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat.